Good morning, and welcome to the Alameda Connection on KCSM HD2. I'm your host, Scott Piehler. When people talk about quality of life, they often look to their park system as a nice amenity, a bit of green space, a place for the kids to play. But parks have a measurable, positive impact. The National Recreation and Park Association published a report showing that in 2021, local park and recreation agencies generated more than $201 billion in economic activity and supported more than 1.1 million jobs. Here in Alameda, Alameda Recreation and Park Department oversees more than 40 facilities, including over 20 parks. You might not be aware that in the state of California, Alameda Recreation and Park Department is actually the third oldest department of its kind in the entire state, with services dating back to 1895 and parks dating back to 1908. My guest this morning is Patrick Russi, the Recreation Manager of Alameda Recreation and Park Department. We'll talk about the offerings of ARPD, Patrick's career with that organization, and just why it's called Recreation and Park and not Parks and Recreation. That's Patrick Russi, Recreation Manager of ARPD. My guest this morning on the Alameda Connection on KCSM HD2. Good morning, Patrick, and welcome to the Alameda Connection.
Well, thank you. I'm happy to be your guest here today.
A little background. Where were you born? Where'd you grow up?
I am born and raised in Alameda.
Okay.
Been here my entire life. I was not born in Alameda Hospital, but coming from the hospital back to Alameda, I've been here my entire life.
Your education, what was your fields of study? What brought you up to adulthood?
So I went to Go Bears, Cal, graduate. I was a history and a geography major. But when I got done with that field, I had the opportunity to work as a part-time, full-time person. Back then, you could do those things where you could work as many hours as you want and you get paid for it. I started in recreation when I was probably about 4 or 5 years old, being a park rat at Rittler Park. But then I got my first paying job at 16, and I worked in some capacity for the department since.
Really?
So I'm over 40-something years of working for the department. I've worked full-time for the last 23 years.
Okay. So straight out, you've been the whole time. You've been the head of recreation for 14 years. What positions did you hold before then?
So I started out as a rec aide. I was a recreation leader. I was a recreation coordinator. I was a recreation supervisor. And then now I'm a recreation manager. And I did forget to say that I did go to St. Mary's and got my master's in health, physical education, and recreation.
What attracted you to this whole field?
What attracted me is how much influence it has over a community or an individual. I know in my life, I can remember some of my park directors, and they had tremendous influence on me. And that's why I wanted to become a recreation leader. I'm the one of 6 children, and all 6 of us were recreation leaders at one point or not. And at a time, I'm the longest lasting one, though. To bring joy and to bring fun and to bring happiness to people as they're going through this roller coaster ride called life. And that's what inspires me to keep doing it. I think it's just the energy that you get working in a community. And Alameda has been such a supporter. We're the 3rd oldest rec department in the state behind LA and San Francisco. Talk to some of the old timers and they'll tell you, hey, I was a Rittler Wildcat or a Franklin Eagle.
Now, you mentioned still remembering some of your recreation leaders, and it reminds me of something I read years ago where a sociologist was doing a study, and they said, what's the difference between a good kid and a bad kid? One of the answers they came up with was the presence of a caring, non-parental adult, be it a coach, be it a recreation leader, be it what I was, a theater teacher. But just somebody to look at that kid and say, you matter.
I couldn't agree with you more on that. Some of the most challenging kids that I had at the time, they drove me nuts.
Right.
But I was around long enough to see them mature and change, and I've had the fortunate opportunity to have them come back and say, you know, thank you for riding my butt. Thank you for being there. I needed it at that time in my life. You made a difference in my life. The world is tough. It's not easy, and it's not getting any easier.
No.
Having individuals, having park directors that are out there on a daily basis working with kids is a tremendous gift that we have in Alameda, because no other rec department, as far as I know, offers the free programs that we offer that you can just show up and enjoy.
Let's talk a little bit about the history of ARPD. As you mentioned, third oldest in California, 1908.
Was the first park, I believe, in 1908. We had programs in 1895.
Really?
So one of our taglines in the past has been keeping play alive since 1895.
Nice.
We are Alameda Recreation and Park Department because we had rec programs before we had parks. And we take a lot of pride in that. People back then felt it was valuable, and today people still think it's valuable.
Counting parks and buildings, how many facilities are under the ARPD umbrella?
We've expanded a little bit, and we're actually expanding a little bit more. Currently, right now, Estuary Park.
Right.
The second phase is actually under construction right now. It's slated to open up at the end of the year. So that'll be our newest facility.
What do we expect to see in that?
They're going to be putting in a permanent bathroom, which is always a plus for parks, because right now we have porta potties. There's going to be some picnic areas, some green space, as well as some pickleball courts, because that has become a huge attraction in Alameda. We also have some basketball courts out there and another dog park that's going to be out there.
My dog Eliza thanks you.
Oh, yes. And there's another dog park that's going to be coming along over by the Miller Sweeney Fruitvale Bridge, right by where the Petco is over there.
Right.
There's going to be a dog park in there, too, for that neighborhood as well.
Wonderful.
We're constantly trying to evaluate and look and assess what's needed out there. We'll be doing some more assessment in the fall.
Let's talk about the structure of ARPD, because there's essentially three divisions. You've got recreation, the Mastic Center, and parks. How do those missions vary and intertwine?
They all intertwine at some capacity. We're constantly working together to do different things. Mastic has obviously a focus on seniors, 50 and over. Parks obviously are focused on the actual physical plants of the park. And then recreation is about all the youth in between and adults in between, and using all of those park facilities.
I think the greatest compliment I've ever heard of any part of ARPD is I was having a chat with some folks over at Mastic. They were talking about how they have to turn away people who are not yet 50, who are clamoring to get in.
Well, I will tell you, the Mastic Senior Center is the jewel of this island. I mean, I'll be the first one to tout about recreation, but the Senior Center is very impressive and is one that draws people from all over the region.
Right. I should tell you this story about Mastic. My mother just moved from New Hampshire to live with us here in Alameda. And when she asked, what's the first thing I should do? And she said, driver's license. No, Mastic Center. So the first piece of mail she got was the Mastic Center.
Oh, I'm sure. They don't miss anything. And they have such good resources down there. They work really well with social services. And if you have issues, they have so much knowledge on who to talk to. I think navigating the system, it's hard when you're young and it's hard when you're old.
Right.
I think they do such a great job of having people down there, and that people really care about getting the services or getting people just to hang out and have fun.
I have to give another shout out, and this is for one of the parks workers, because when I first got to the island, my wife and I lived at Encinal and Grand. And so walking our dog 3 or 4 times a day, we would be going in and around and through Franklin. And Maria, who takes care of Franklin Park, Maria is a rock star. She does a wonderful job.
She's a part-time employee, too.
Really?
Yeah. She's one of those specialists. She loves to talk about flowers.
Yes.
And she is a specialist on how to do the roses. But I would say all the park guys do such a great job. You know, they're up early in the morning, they get things out. But our parks look generally well kept. I'm not saying that there's no issues or any problems, but they get out there and they work their tails off to make sure that it's available for you. I know this weekend, it was a big weekend.
Right, sure.
I'm sure today they've been spending most of the day kind of cleaning up, getting rid of the trash, getting rid of all that stuff. But sure enough, they'll be ready to go because the next 2 weeks we have all the schools coming down because the end of the school picnics are coming out, which again goes back to that we work together type things. They know the schools will be down there for part of the day because they want to come down and celebrate the end of the school year.
4th of July parade. What do you think makes that parade so special?
It's kind of a microcosm of Alameda.
Mm-hmm.
The beauty of it is anyone can participate and you can get out there. And I think the organizations in Alameda enjoy celebrating, going out and showing off, hey, we're here in Alameda.
Right.
Whether it's a sports association or whether it's the California Historical Radio Society, the Senior Center is going to be out this year, or the Sikh Riders or whoever it comes out. It's an Alameda draw, but it's also a regional draw because not every city in the area does a parade. So we do get people from neighboring cities to come and participate. People just enjoy that. I've never seen more people out and about on a 4th of July from 10 to 1. Watching that parade and then they're having a party or they're having a barbecue or they're doing it. And it's not just in one spot. It's throughout the whole 3.3 miles. I mean, there are rarely any gaps in where people are. It's fun. I know I participated when I was younger. I also enjoyed watching it with my mom who loved it before she passed away. I think it's just kind of a legacy of Alameda. It kind of tells a little bit, like you said, a microcosm of Alameda, how great Alameda can be.
The senior programs and the kids programs tend to get a lot of the press. What's available for people in between?
There are a lot of classes, contract classes. We have sports. So if you're into sports, we have softball. We're going to be doing basketball. We are going to try to do a kickball league in next year. We tried to do a dodgeball league last year, but we didn't get a lot of signups, so we didn't do it. So we'll try a kickball league this year. We have classes for dance, social dance. We do have a fair number of classes just for any adult. Afro-American beats, there's Latin dance, there's jiu-jitsu, there's Aikido, there's sword play. I mean, we have there's a multitude. I'm not doing justice because there's a lot more classes out there. I would just say look at our website. If there's something that you're interested in and we find that we can get it, by all means, don't hesitate to ask. We're looking at doing some more adult classes, but I do think parents are more concerned about their children. It's a smaller slice of people that, hey, I'm looking for this or looking for that. We'll be coming out with our fall guide at the end of next month. The guide is always a key.
Starlight Movies in the Park. Who picks the lineup?
Well, usually we vote on it. We put it out in November, December. Hey, here's a list of movies. What do you want to see? And so we vote and we have to pick movies that are okay with the time because during the different times of the year, the sun is out more than so it's shorter movies for some time of the year, longer movies for other times of the year. Mostly the community votes on it. Our programs vote. Some of our after school programs, they enjoy getting to pick the movies. This summer, our summer theme is retro.
The lineup's great. I've got it right in front of it. It's Aristocats, Back to the Future, The Goonies, and the original Jurassic Park.
So we try to do a more retro theme this summer. I'm thinking that most of even the leaders weren't born in the 80s and 90s, but I think there's enough out there that makes it fun. We're looking forward because all of our programs are doing an aspect of the Totally Rad 2026 summer.
Wonderful. And I should add, as a sidelight, the dive-in movie this year is the original animated Little Mermaid.
The movies are awesome. Most of them are free. They take place in June, July, August, and September. The dive-in also takes place in July. There is a small cost for that for the lifeguards and stuff, but they make it up with lots of excitement and crafts and things like that. And then I will say my favorite event of the year is the sandcastle sand sculpture contest.
That is a regional delight.
Going to be on June 20th this year. It's the 58th sandcastle sand sculpture contest. Right after this, I have to go meet with East Bay Regional Park District.
I want to stop you right there because that was one question I had is, how is your relationship? What is the relationship with East Bay?
Over the years, I've had to deal with 7 different regional park people over there, but all of them are tremendous people and they work really well with us in Alameda. And I would say they also have to work, obviously, since some of their properties and things go right up against the parks, they work well with the park maintenance side as well. Currently, Dave Mecke is the supervisor down there, and he's a wonderful guy to work with.
You have been called the hardest working man in public service.
Oh, wow.
And in talking with you, it sounds like this might actually be more of a calling than a job.
Yeah, I would say I always talk to my friends, and when they're telling me that their job stinks and they're not having any fun, I go, "Wow, that's weird." I said I wouldn't know what to do if I didn't have any fun at work. I think for me, it's been a calling in a
Mhm.
sense that I enjoy doing it. I probably put in way too much time and extra effort than I should, but to me, it's giving back to the community. It's seeing all those smiles on the faces of the kids. Like I said, I miss not being in the throes of
Right,
it,
right.
but I do get to go out and just check in every once in a while and see how everything's going. And I get to, obviously talk to the people who are coming through the program
Hmm.
and who then apply to be a recreation leader themselves. It's funny because I've been there so long. I actually now have had people who were my park kids and then their kids now are park directors. So I've had like a couple generations of people because I've been working so long. Like you said, it's a joy. And it also, again, goes back to my original statement about people in Alameda really enjoy recreation
Hmm.
and are supportive, and they just love giving back to the community.
What's the toughest part of your job?
I think the toughest part is about budget
Hmm.
and finances. I mean, obviously, as in the city, we don't get the biggest slice of the pie.
Right.
So there's always lots of things you want to do, but you just can't do them. So that kind of helps you focus on what you really want to do. I think the toughest part now is, and again, this is me, the older I get, the more challenging it becomes because the world changed.
Right.
And when you're young and you're out there, you're on the cutting edge of all that stuff.
Right.
And the older you get, you're not on the cutting edge anymore. So you're hearing about the cutting edge.
Right.
And I think that's why I keep doing it, is because it keeps me going, because it's changing all the time
Hmm.
and dynamic. But I also feel like at some point I have to step aside and let another generation come through, because I'm just removed that far.
Right. Right.
Not yet, but at some point it will be there. But I appreciate all the hard work everyone does,
Hmm.
and I wish they got the recognition.
Right.
How about the third one?
Okay.
The recognition that they deserve, because I know we always talk about teachers, and teachers by far
Right.
do not get the recognition they deserve, but the after school programs,
Hmm.
the summertime programs, the non-school day programs. So
Right.
when schools are out, we're on, and we're on every other day. So we really never really take a break.
Right.
And unfortunately, that can be tough, especially if we went through some lean times where there wasn't as many people that
Sure.
wanted to work, especially because salaries aren't that high. I mean, it's all part-time jobs.
Right.
The job was designed to be for someone who was going to school and get a part-time job, and they do it. Well, the world has changed. Some part-timers just want to be a part-timer,
Right.
which is fine, which is great. So the world has morphed in the sense that we forget that these people are working hard every day, and then a thank you every once in a while. And that's what I would say. It goes a long way.
Right.
I would say some people are better at doing that,
Mm.
especially individually when they're
Sure.
at their sites,
Mhm.
whereas other people just assume, oh, well, they're getting paid to do the job.
Right.
That doesn't really make it. But I think so many times the staff go above and beyond what the normal person is responsible to do,
Mhm.
to make it special for the
Sure.
kids, to do something. Hey, we're going to have a special party today because we want to have
Right.
a special party at the end of the school year. They don't have to do that, but
No.
they're going to do it. And I always tell them, I said, you're making memories.
Yep.
You're creating experiences. I said, your job is to hopefully inspire one individual
Yeah.
to be a park director when they're older.
I love it.
And it's funny because oftentimes, and because I've been here long enough, when they come through, I always ask, did you go through the programs? Oh, yeah. Do you remember any of your leaders? Sure, I remember. I
Right.
remember this person. I remember that person. And then I say, well, what made you remember them? Well, because I had fun with them. I did
Right.
stuff with them. I said, well, that's what I want you to bring to this job. If you get the job, this is what I want you to bring. Times are tough right now with all the negativity going on,
Sure.
unfortunately. But I think we can remind ourselves that there are a lot of positive people out there. It's amazing when you have that positive attitude, how that carries you forward. And I'll speak from my own experience. I don't always have that positive attitude. I used to more often. I think that as an older person, I'm realizing that you have to keep that positive attitude moving forward. Otherwise, it just kind of weighs on you. And I don't want to see the people get weighed down, especially the rec leaders, because they do such a great job.
What are some other local municipalities that you think do a good job with recreation?
Well, I would say Danville Park and Rec does a great job. Walnut Creek has a good, solid program. Concord has a solid program. Emeryville has a solid program. And they're all a little bit different because they're all trying to meet the needs of that community.
Right.
And every community is a little bit different. Alameda is unique in so many ways.
It is its own creature.
It is its own creature. Where, like Oakland is huge.
Right.
And they have these huge centers and they have people that come in. And I'm sure there are plenty of great people there and people that come use those centers. But that's just not. Alameda was much more about the neighborhoods. And you have these neighborhood parks. And people in the neighborhood want their parks to be they kept. I mean, they want them to be clean. They want them to be safe. They want to make sure that no one's disturbing the rest of the neighborhood. So people care a lot in Alameda and they're not afraid to share their voice. And I think that's good. We might not always agree, and that's life. We don't always agree with everyone, but I think it's better to have people involved and engaged. And that's why I always tell my leaders, you want to be engaged. If you're not engaged, then you don't know what's going on. I mean, if your job is to engage with these kids, not to babysit them or watch them, that's what a babysitter does.
Right.
But as a recreation leader, you're going to be engaging with them. You're going to give them experience. You're not going to like everyone. You're not going to get along with everyone, but that's your job, to give those experiences out there because you never know. And like I said, kids are tough because we live in a world where people don't have opportunities as much anymore. Or when I was a kid growing up in the parks, we played everything. Nowadays, most of the kids play one thing and they do it year round. And to me, that's crazy. I mean, I love that I got to play baseball and football and softball and hockey, floor hockey and all that stuff because it was cool. and it made me a stronger as an adult where I could play a lot of things. And that's the one thing I would also say that the adults don't have as much is they're not getting that as many experience because there's not as many intramurals out there. I would say the schools need to bring back the intramurals that they used to do because I think you would have a healthier adult population and maybe have more socialization opportunities. We had a big push on that early on, but I would say now we're back to more of the individual stuff like tennis and pickleball. I mean, I know you can do partners with pickleball, but I'm just saying some of the other things where you used to do big sports with socialization, it just doesn't exist as much or very limited. And I think that's the challenge as we move forward. Like I said, it's dynamic and challenge.
If you can say anything, where are we on Gene Sweeney Aquatic?
They're moving forward on it. And I will say one thing, I think someone who grew up here, who's been here as long as I have, I think it'll be fantastic once we do have an aquatic facility that allows us to do a lot more things that we have not been able to do in the past, not because we haven't had pool time or something like that. When you have it 24/7, you'll be able to do a little bit more different things. And I'm hoping that people will look at it as a new gem in Alameda as we move forward. I think it's a perfect, good location right in the middle. If you look at the entirety of the main island, it's kind of in the middle, a little bit skewed, a little bit. There'll be parking. There'll be a place where the kids can ride their bike too. There's a lot of bike trails along there. So I'm looking forward to seeing the completion and the opening up of that. So, but it's not a project that I'm heavily involved in on the periphery.
By the way, congratulations to the department because I live sort of Center Island and the new openings on 8th and Wood into Gene Sweeney are fantastic.
The trail connectors. Yes. We just had a meeting on that. So the trail connectors, again, as I said, things don't move as fast as you want them to move. That has been in motion for a while. And it's awesome to finally have those accesses that people then from the neighborhood can go through the park, also over to the shopping center right there. And I think it'll be even more beneficial when the aquatic center opens up as well.
Most definitely.
The trail connectors, I think it'll be great. I've always thought that would be an added bonus to that park.
And it really works. I can tell anybody, if you live in that sort of Pacific Lincoln area, y'all can walk to Lucky now.
Well, and I think that's what Alameda wants you to do more than anything is ride your bike or walk. I mean, I'm a big walker. I walk most of the day during my lunch break, but I ride my bike for almost 9 of the 12 months of the year.
Right.
Only the rainy days, I know, a rainy time of the day. But I love doing that because it's easier. And Alameda you have all these bike trails, you might as well use them.
Right.
Bike walk, as you said earlier, has advocated a lot for these bike lanes. And so it's nice to have them out there. You can get out there and do stuff. So I'm a big proponent of that.
Okay, I'm going to hit you with a question that every guest on the show gets, and half the guests look at me and say, are you really going to make me do this? And I say, yes. You have company coming in from out of town. You have to take them to 3 meals. It can be breakfast, lunch, dinner, 3 dinners. It can be small bites and noshes. What 3 restaurants in Alameda are you going to?
Wow. Well, I would start out with Jim's.
Okay.
Coffee shop.
Jim's is great. I had breakfast there the other day.
I would do the original Jim's Coffee Shop.
Okay.
Over on Lincoln.
Yeah.
I think that's a solid breakfast place. You can't go wrong there. I would definitely go to Asena.
Okay, very good.
Another one of my favorite restaurants for dinner. For lunch, I probably would go to either Lola's Chicken Shack or Chipotle. I can't think. I'm trying to think of another local one.
That's okay.
Actually, I will say the sandwich board, because the sandwich board does hand carved turkeys.
Yes. Oh.
And it is the best. So actually, I take that back. Sandwich board is where I go.
I'm with you on the sandwich board. I do love that.
I just couldn't think of that one, but yeah, no, those are the 3 I think that stand out. There's been a lot of different places in Alameda, but those are the 3 that I would probably go to.
I love it. What's the best way for people to keep up with what's going on at ARPD?
Well, visit our website, www.alamedaca.gov /recreation. We have lots of things. Like I said, our day camp program, which started in 1953, it's over 70 years. It's one of our most beloved programs. It's an outdoor nature-based camp. It takes place at East Bay Regional Park District.
Okay.
And up in the hills, Oakland Hills. So it's one of the few camps that actually goes out of Alameda.
Okay.
It's a wonderful. It's our Hidden Cove program, our Trails End, and we also do an overnight up in the Oakland Hills at Rhinehole Regional Park called the Trailblazer. So that one's good. We have, like I said, a ton of sports camps. We have cross country camp. We have volleyball camp. We have all that stuff that's available. Tennis lessons. We have group tennis lessons for youth as well as for adults. Swim lessons. We have swim lessons galore. We also have swim camps as well. There are theme camps like pirate camp and diving camp and stuff like that. But we also have group swim lessons as well as private lessons if you want a one-on-one type situation. We are still taking signups right now. I would say get out there. I tout, and since I'm here, I'm going to tout. I think we're the best game in town because I think we just have the variety at a cost where most people can afford. And not saying that we're a specialist in any way. Right. We do have specialty programs, but I would say if you want a basic fun summer, then check out ARPD.
And you said the guide for next season's coming out
in the end of June, right before the 4th of July.
Wonderful.
Parade.
Patrick Russi, the ARPD Recreation Manager, thank you so much for spending time with us today on the Alameda Connection.
Well, I appreciate any time that I have an opportunity to talk about ARPD, I'm in.
Take care.
Take care.
Thanks again to Patrick Russi, the Recreation Manager of Alameda Recreation and Park Department, for spending time with us here on the Alameda Connection. To keep up with everything going on at ARPD, as Patrick said, you can head to the website. It's actually a subset of the city's website. The easiest way to type it in is to go to alamedaca.gov/recreation. If that's too much, just head to the city's homepage and scroll down a bit. You'll find the link. ARPD also has a presence on Instagram and Facebook. Their handle in both places is PlayARPD. That's PLAYARPD. And as Patrick said, if you're an Alameda resident, be on the lookout for their updated seasonal offerings guide. The next one comes out at the end of June. Our conversation today included the upcoming 4th of July parade. My guest next week on the Alameda Connection is that parade's Grand Marshal. It's Alameda Fire Chief Nick Luby. We'll talk about what it means to provide fire services on an island, the success of programs like the CARE Team, and just what it was that led the chief to kiss a pig. That's next week. Nick Luby, Chief of the AFD. For the rest of June, on Sunday the 21st, Kathy Weber from the Downtown Alameda Business Association, and on the 28th, Eitan Manhoff, the owner of Cape and Cowl Comics, the folks who put on Cape and Cowl Con this August at our very own Faction Brewing. Don't forget, you can head to bayarearadio.org and cast your vote for the Bay Area Audiocaster of the Year Award. You can vote as often as you like. Thanks, as always, to the California Historical Radio Society for our location for my sit-down with Patrick Russi. Thanks again, and as always, to guitarist Bill Hart for our theme music. The song is Beachside Isle. The album is Watch the Sky. I'm Scott Piehler. I'll catch you next Sunday morning, 8 a.m., the Alameda Connection, here on KCSM HD2.